to get me into trouble. And this is the time when I decided I need to kind of explore these things and get to the bottom of them, because lots of other people did not do that. After a few years and actually looking into the PR agencies that are associated with companies like Microsoft, you do find these answers. You do actually find out why certain policies don't make the cut. Things like lobbyists and things like certain connections in government. You can actually find all this material very easily. And as you put together all these bits and you try to organize them and categorize them, you start to spread the knowledge and you receive more knowledge from other people. And as the years go by, you actually get a more of a complete picture. And obviously some people won't like this picture because it's starting to expose certain people, certain companies. In some cases, we actually go through antitrust material and you have people's names, people who are involved in certain things showing up. So they won't be happy about it, that's for sure. But the question is, should you not do it? Should you not try to pursue the answers? Should you not try to look at things which are basically just criminal acts of certain people because they might not like it and they might actually attack you personally? I think there came a certain point where you do realize that even though all these attacks are coming, they do come for a reason, and the reason is not necessarily because you're doing something bad, but because lots of people whom you criticize, or lots of people whose companies you criticize, are not precisely happy with the person who's doing that.
But that would make sense if the only people criticizing you were people who work for Microsoft and Novell. But a lot of the people, it seems like the internet's a big place. I might only be seeing the negative things, but it seems like a lot of the people who are critical are people in the free software community who've got no connection to Novell and Microsoft. They just think that what you're doing is wrong.
One of the issues you spoke about before is people misrepresenting the website by linking to it. And this is one of the reasons, as you probably saw in IRC, one of the reasons I hate that is because people get the wrong message about the website, because they come to the website perhaps for the first time, perhaps for the second time, getting the impression that only bad things and bad people come from there. But they don't necessarily listen to the message of the site without a certain fragment of it, which is a negative thing. And we did try to address this, for example, when we made the front page more of an information page than a sort of a blog, and try to present people with a picture before they, start reading about the latest events and so on. So one of the things you have to bear in mind is that lots of people don't hear both sides of the story before they make a certain judgment about the website. And there are lots of people who are also associated with certain companies who are seeding information or disinformation about the website or about me personally. I could tell you that Microsoft employees, people who are what they call technical evangelists, have done this before, and even people who are with Novell actually trying to endorse these messages and kind of spread them around, and everything to basically discredit the website as a source of information. And not just normal, it doesn't only happen in technology; it happens in other areas as well. And I'm fine with that because I kind of understand why it happens, and I could try to explain it to you. And as people who are looking closely at the site and actually agree with them, with the message of the site and with certain companies that are being defended.
But do you not think that Boycott Novell is damaging to the free software community? Based upon all of this feedback, and you can discount many of it as negative, and we're reading the wrong bit of the internet. But do you not ever lay there in bed some nights and just think, you know what? Maybe this is the wrong thing to do.
If you look at the objective goals, for example, of a company like Novell, which is just to sell lots of kind of proprietary servers in the sense that they sell you subscriptions to enterprise Linux. From that point of view, it's not going to be very useful to them, that's for sure. But if you look back at if you actually step back and actually try to look at the goal of the entire movement, and probably it wasn't to just create another OS X or just try to kind of lump in all the I'm trying to have a certain vision here of an operating system which does get some market share, but it's some expanse, which leads it to actually being something which is just the same, just being exactly the same, just simulation to the existing things. And you might as well just look back and wonder, what have we actually achieved here? One of the things that happened in the 90s is that there was this shift from philosophy to more of a development and attributes of the what was then called free software became more of an open source goal, and you then actually neglect the philosophical type of goal of the free software movement and try to concentrate on creating as much money as possible with the existing code using certain benefits of the developer.
You haven't answered my question, though. Do you think it's damaging? Do you think Boycott Novell is damaging to the free software community?
The free software, no. I think it might be damaging to other movements, which might be sort of a satellite around this.
Because the impression I get today is that, as I've said to you privately and as I've said to you now publicly, is that I get the impression that your heart is in the right place. And I believe that you are desperately trying to protect something that is valuable to us all. But to be honest with you, I think you're hurting that thing. And I think that's why people have been so het up about this interview, and that's why people have been so keen to listen and so keen to hear your side of the story. And I think a lot of people really want to hear you give your... I think people want to hear you give your perspective and give your justification, and power to the people. Everyone's got the right to boycott whatever they want, but
sure. You have to,
I don't think I'm ever going to understand it. But I was really, really keen that you had an opportunity to come on the show and give your side of the story and to quell some of the criticisms that people have had.
Yeah, but I have to just clarify that right from the beginning, the reason you actually even approached me for these talks was because you were disagreeing with the site message. In general, you were thinking it's not as though you're presenting a very kind of objective look here. You actually come to this chat thinking it is very harmful to your cause or what you define to be the goals that you're looking for.
I do, but I think the best thing you can do, I mean, I'm a big believer that you should engage and discuss in a polite and a forum in which people can talk about it. And I think, Roy, you've demonstrated a great finesse in communicating what you're wanting to achieve. And yes, I agree with Boycott Novell. I think it's damaging to our community, but that doesn't necessarily mean that you shouldn't have the right to get on FLOSS Weekly and talk about it. And when people said to me, why are you giving that guy a platform? I said to them, because if he's got a good message, he deserves the platform. I might not necessarily agree with it, but you still deserve the right to have that platform.
Okay. So, I suppose what I was trying to say before is the questions, the way they're posed, is they tell one side of the story. So as long as the conversation is being guided by one side, and the side itself is very hostile towards the guest side, all I can do is to actually try to present my point of view and try to give you the replies. But what you cannot do exactly is actually try to reach a certain conclusion on your behalf and try to conclude that the consensus here is that it is damaging.
Well, in my view it is, but I mean, it's fine for you to say that it's not damaging, and people who think that Boycott Novell is a great project will think that I'm full of crack and you're a hero, and people who think that Boycott Novell is a bad project will think that you're full of crack and that I'm a hero. Just because I'm one of the hosts on the show and I disagree with the project doesn't mean that your words are any less valid than anybody else's. And I think you presented the issues. I mean, you've presented very cogently the issues around Novell and Microsoft and why you're concerned about it and what the project does. And I said to you in the build-up to the call, we're going to talk about some of the criticisms, so you have an opportunity to present the other side of the viewpoint.
Sure.
But, yeah, and
well, let me give you that chance, Roy. Is there anything that